MGM's search for a star. In the early 1930s, MGM lacked a strong in-house cartoon identity. After failed experiments with animators like Ub Iwerks, whose characters Flip the Frog and Willy Whopper did not connect with audiences, MGM pivoted. They briefly partnered with Hugh Harman and Rudolph Ising, creators of Happy Harmonies, but escalating production costs and modest success led MGM to sever ties in 1937. Instead of outsourcing, the studio established its own animation division, placing Fred Quimby in charge. Quimby recruited William Hanna as a director and Joseph Barbera as an animator. MGM now aimed to compete with the likes of Disney and Warner Brothers by developing original, recurring cartoon characters. The birth of Tom and Jerry. Hanna and Barbera conceived of two characters who were equal adversaries, initially a fox and a dog, later changed to a cat and mouse for a more universally understood dynamic. The concept was simple. One character chases the other, with physical comedy and violence driving the humor. The first short, Puss Gets the Boot, 1940, introduced Jasper the cat and Jinx the mouse. It featured minimal dialogue, relied heavily on slapstick gags, and borrowed from silent film sensibilities. MGM was hesitant to pursue the idea due to its perceived lack of originality. However, strong audience feedback, including direct letters from distributors, forced the studio to greenlight additional shorts. Renaming and redesigning. The names Jasper and Jinx were quickly dropped. MGM held an internal competition to rename the characters. Animator John Carr proposed Tom and Jerry and won a $50 bonus. The origin of the names has been debated. Possibilities include a Victorian-era novel, a traditional holiday cocktail, and wartime slang for British and German soldiers. Regardless, the second cartoon, The Midnight Snack, 1941, marked the official start of the Tom and Jerry series. Tom and Jerry's designs became slightly more refined. Jerry retained his long eyelashes, and Tom appeared younger and cleaner. This set the tone for a gradual evolution in visual style over the next 2 decades. Design evolution in the Golden Age. From 1941 to 1958, Hanna-Barbera produced 114 theatrical shorts. During this time, Tom evolved from a quadruped with a scruffy look to a sleek bipedal cat with more expressive human-like features. By 1944's The Zoot Cat, he stood upright regularly, wore clothes for comedic effect, and moved with humanized gestures. Jerry's changes were more subtle. He lost some of his baby fat, became slightly taller, and his coat color varied from short to short. Notably, in 1951's Jerry's Cousin, Jerry's signature eyelashes were removed, a change that lasted for decades. The transformation was slow and intended to reflect graceful aging, as Barbera described it. Formula, style, and music. The early shorts followed a loose, consistent structure. Tom chases Jerry, chaos unfolds, and the mouse typically wins. Over time, the series incorporated more side characters such as Spike the Bulldog and Tyke his son, expanding the cast and variety of scenarios. Violence escalated rapidly, drawing inspiration from fellow MGM animator Tex Avery, who introduced a more chaotic, high-speed approach to humor. The visual gags were paired with innovative music by Scott Bradley, who created complex, genre-blending scores. These included sudden tempo shifts, irregular time signatures, and unconventional instrumentation, pushing the limits of what music could do in a cartoon. Bradley's compositions became a defining feature of the series. Commercial and critical success. Tom and Jerry quickly outpaced their rivals in popularity. In 1943, the Yankee Doodle Mouse became the first Tom and Jerry short to win an Academy Award. It was also the first non-Disney cartoon to win Best Animated Short. From 1943 to 1953, Tom and Jerry won 7 Oscars and received 14 nominations, surpassing all other character-based cartoon series. The success led MGM to increase production budgets, invest in CinemaScope widescreen format starting in 1954, and feature the characters in live-action hybrid sequences. This included a dance scene with Gene Kelly in Anchors Aweigh, 1945, and an underwater scene with Esther Williams in Dangerous When Wet, 1953. The decline of theatrical shorts. By the mid-1950s, television had begun pulling audiences away from cinemas. As a result, MGM reduced budgets for animated shorts. Tom and Jerry cartoons, which previously cost around $50,000 each, were suddenly expected to be produced for far less. Hanna-Barbera responded by incorporating limited animation techniques, including simplified drawings, static backgrounds, and reused sequences. MGM also began releasing one cheater cartoon per year, shorts that reused footage from earlier episodes to cut costs. Even widescreen formats like CinemaScope couldn't reverse the decline in viewership. By 1957, MGM decided to shut down its animation studio completely. Hanna-Barbera were ordered to lay off their entire team. Hanna-Barbera's exit and rise elsewhere. After being dismissed from MGM, Hanna-Barbera quickly adapted to the rise of television. They founded Hanna-Barbera Productions, hiring many of their former MGM colleagues. Their new studio pioneered low-cost, high-volume TV animation and produced hits such as The Flintstones, Yogi Bear, The Jetsons, and Scooby-Doo. Meanwhile, MGM placed Tom and Jerry on hold. The original run of Hanna-Barbera's Tom and Jerry cartoons came to an official end in 1958, but their influence, particularly the chase formula and slapstick timing, continued to shape the animation industry. Gene Deitch era, 1961 to 1962. In an effort to revive the franchise, MGM outsourced production of new Tom and Jerry shorts to animator Gene Deitch, who worked from Prague, Czechoslovakia. Deitch had little affection for the original cartoons, calling them tasteless, but agreed to produce 13 episodes. These were made with extremely low budgets and unfamiliar animation teams. Deitch maintained the basic cat-and-mouse concept, but introduced surreal background art, offbeat music, and remote or outdoor settings. The animation was stiff and the tone uneven. Although the shorts were commercially successful, they were heavily criticized for poor animation quality, awkward pacing, and a jarring departure from the established style. Deitch even reported receiving death threats from fans. Chuck Jones era, 1963 to 1967. After the Gene Deitch experiment ended, MGM brought in Chuck Jones, the legendary Warner Bros. Animator known for his work on Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and Roadrunner. Jones produced 34 new Tom and Jerry shorts through his own studio, Tower 12 Productions, later absorbed into MGM as MGM Animation Visual Arts. Jones imposed his signature visual style, angular character designs, highly expressive facial features, and intricate background art. Tom was redesigned with bushy eyebrows, furrier cheeks, and a darker coat, resembling Wile E. Coyote. Jerry gained larger eyes and a lighter coat. Though technically polished, these shorts felt distinctly different in tone. While Jones's cartoons were praised for their craftsmanship, many critics felt they lacked the heart and comedic rhythm of the Hanna-Barbera originals. The 1975 TV revival, The Tom and Jerry Show. In 1975, Tom and Jerry returned to television in a new Saturday morning cartoon series on ABC. This marked the first time Hanna-Barbera were back producing the characters they had created, now under their own studio. Due to new broadcasting rules for children's content, the characters were no longer adversaries. Instead, Tom and Jerry became friends traveling the world together. The violence was removed entirely, replaced with light-hearted adventures and situational comedy. Jerry was redesigned with a red bow tie, and both characters reverted to their classic Golden Age designs. The series consisted of 48 new shorts, bundled into 16 half-hour episodes. Though visually faithful, the dramatic tone shift made this version divisive among fans. Filmation's Tom and Jerry Comedy Show, 1980 to 1982. MGM outsourced another reboot to Filmation, a studio known for quantity over quality, and shows like He-Man and Fat Albert. The Tom and Jerry Comedy Show ran for 15 episodes and returned to the traditional rivalry format, albeit with heavily reduced violence to satisfy broadcast standards. Visually, the characters were based on their late 1950s designs, but with limited animation, recycled frames, and stilted movement. The music was generic and synthesized, further removing the energy that defined earlier iterations. While the series did reintroduce classic supporting characters like Droopy and Spike, its low production value made it unpopular with longtime fans. Tom and Jerry Kids, 1990 to 1994. In the early 1990s, Tom and Jerry were reimagined for a younger audience through the Tom and Jerry Kids show, part of a broader trend that saw iconic cartoon characters transformed into child versions. Produced by Hanna-Barbera and Turner Entertainment, the series presented juvenile versions of the cat and mouse, with Jerry wearing a red bow tie and Tom donning a baseball cap. The animation was more polished than previous television attempts, and the show earned a Daytime Emmy nomination. While some episodes followed the classic chase format, others introduced more structured narratives and talking side characters. The violence was mild, reflecting the intended demographic, but the essence of rivalry remained present throughout its 65-episode run. Tom and Jerry, the movie, 1992. In 1992, Tom and Jerry returned to the big screen for the first time in decades. Tom and Jerry the Movie was a full-length feature directed by Phil Roman, best known for Garfield specials and work on The Simpsons. The film gave Tom and Jerry extensive speaking roles, a major departure from their traditionally silent slapstick personas. The plot followed the duo helping a young girl find her missing family, with musical numbers inserted throughout. Despite including nods to classic animation, such as Tom's early 1950s striped face, the movie was a critical and commercial failure. It grossed only $3.6 million on a $3.5 million budget and was criticized for its generic storytelling, weak songs, and stripping away the core dynamics that made the characters popular. After the failure of the feature film, Tom and Jerry were shelved until 2001, when The Mansion Cat premiered as a one-off short for Boomerang. Produced by Hanna-Barbera, but with limited input from the original creators, the short returned to a simplified chase format. Tom and Jerry were mute again and featured in their 1970s visual designs. It was the last cartoon produced under the Hanna-Barbera name before the studio merged into Warner Bros. Animation, just 10 days before the death of William Hanna. In 2005, The Karate Guard was released as another one-off short, written and directed by Barbera. It marked a final return to the franchise's original slapstick roots and traditional storytelling. Barbera passed away a few months later, making it his final contribution to the series. Tom and Jerry Tales, 2006 to 2008. From 2006 to 2008, Tom and Jerry Tales aired on Cartoon Network, consisting of 26 episodes with 3 shorts each, 78 cartoons in total. This series was the first modern attempt to faithfully replicate the tone, pacing, and visual style of the classic Hanna-Barbera shorts. While violence was toned down for contemporary television standards, it remained more present than in most post-1970s versions. Each episode featured new settings and scenarios, ranging from haunted houses to medieval castles. Although it did not achieve major critical acclaim, it was well received for its authenticity and marked a clear shift back toward traditional Tom and Jerry storytelling. The Tom and Jerry Show, 2014 to present. In 2014, The Tom and Jerry Show debuted on Cartoon Network and later on Boomerang's streaming platform. This version uses digital animation and features multiple short segments within a half-hour format. The characters retained their classic personalities and visual traits, but were placed in a variety of modern settings, including detective stories, horror parodies, and sci-fi environments. Unlike previous iterations, this series returned fully to relentless slapstick violence, aided by loosened television content regulations. The animation is vibrant and fluid, making it one of the most visually polished series since the original Golden Age. It blends old-school physical comedy with modern narrative tropes to appeal to both nostalgic and new audiences. Direct-to-video films, 2002 to present. Starting in 2002 with Tom and Jerry, The Magic Ring, the franchise launched a string of direct-to-video feature films. As of today, there are 13 such movies, all featuring the classic designs of the characters but in extended, narrative-driven adventures. While most retain elements of the chase formula and slapstick violence, they often place Tom and Jerry in fantastical settings, such as wizard duels, fairy tales, or crossovers with other Warner Bros. Properties. Notable examples include Tom and Jerry and the Wizard of Oz, 2011, Robin Hood and His Merry Mouse, 2012, and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 2017. Reception has been mixed, with some entries praised for creative ambition and others criticized for diluting the core dynamic of the characters. The 2021 live-action hybrid film. In 2021, Tom and Jerry returned to cinema screens in a live-action or 2D animation hybrid produced by Warner Bros. The film placed the animated cat and mouse in a real-world hotel setting with Chloe Grace Moretz and Michael Peña in leading human roles. Jerry causes chaos during a high-profile wedding event, prompting hotel staff to bring in Tom to deal with the problem. Visually, the characters retained their classic designs but were digitally rendered to blend into live-action environments. The film attempted to balance nostalgia with a modern plotline, using slapstick gags and action set pieces similar to the early cartoons. While commercially more successful than the 1992 animated feature, critical reception was mixed. Reviewers praised the animation quality but criticized the script and character development, noting that the human-centric plot overshadowed the titular duo. I'm going to keep dropping more of these cartoon breakdowns, so if that's your thing, stick around. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for being here, and catch you next time.